Annie here. Welcome to Monday on Pagan Perspective. Our topic this week comes from Rob, who, as you will remember, was a host here. And Rob, we miss you. We hope all is well with you. Rob's question was, have you guys done a video talking about any spiritual or magical goals or expectations for yourself in your path for this year? So I am guessing we might have had this question in our archive for a bit. And Rob, I don't know if you were referring to this year as the calendar year, beginning in January, or you were talking about Samhain, because I know that that is an important turning of the year for you. So I am not going to be speaking to a moment in the calendar year, which is the year. I'm going to talk about goals and what they mean to me. I do relate to this differently than I did earlier in my life. I was one who did set specific goals with deadlines and things to accomplish along the way for my life, for my spiritual studies, for my career, and I've shifted away from that a bit over the years, and especially through my 40s and officially, I guess, into my 50s. I tend to think of my life in flows of energy now. So it is more about the energy, the flow I want to commit to for any particular period of time than it is, here's what I'm going to accomplish. It doesn't mean I'm not goal-oriented, because one thing does tend to lead to the other, but I tend to be more attuned to the energy of the moment and the flow moving from that. I'm not so much a goal setter as I used to be. I am happier this way. It suits who I am at this point in my life. It doesn't mean, though, that I don't think about the future and make plans, the logical ones, the ones that have to do with taking care of business. I'm very methodical about plotting and planning. It's part of my Libran personality. I do, at the turning of the year in Samhain, make an intentional stop, think about what I want to leave behind, either because it is dealt with or I need to deal with it and put it behind me. So I'm all about a way forward. I'm more, though, about the flow of the way forward than I am the light at the end of that tunnel. Now, it doesn't mean that for specific projects, things I want to attain, spell work, prayers for certain things, meditations, that I don't focus on, here is the outcome that I want. But as far as there being a sitting down and officially saying these are my goals, spiritual goals in general, I guess the closest I would come to it is at Samhain, when I'm very aware of the going into the quiet from Samhain to Yule, and then the feeling of momentum, of motion that comes out of Yule into the next turning of the year. So I'm very aware of the active part of the year that will come on me beginning at Yule. And there needs to be a focus to that. And I do see something different about focus than goal. Focus being living in the flow of the energy and feeling it and experiencing it and knowing where you can influence it. I'm seeing a little bit of difference there between that feeling and the feeling of setting a goal. Throughout the year, honoring the 8 holidays, the quarters and the cross quarters, I do revisit what that turning of the year teaches me. And out of that might come goals to keep me focused. And I'm back to the word focus again, aren't I? On where I want to be in the process of manifestation through the year. So I revisit at the turning of each holiday what the symbolism and meaning to that holiday is and how I can apply it to the way I'm living my life. So we could say that a goal is that there are 8 times a year, so 7 in addition to Samhain, when I am for the moment stopping to think, where am I? Where am I personally? Where am I spiritually and emotionally and physically? I take stock of things. What is my relationship to those I care about? What is my relationship to the wider community? So revisiting that 8 times around the year, I would call that a goal. It's kind of a getting back in touch and seeing where you are and where you are in that flow and shifting the direction of the flow. I also use elemental center goals as the wheel turns. I do live in the seasons of air, fire, water, and earth as the wheel of the year turns around. I use that to give me those Once again, it is not so much a specific goal that I'm aiming towards with that pinpoint focus, so much as it is living within the flow and the feeling of air in that time of the year. And then revisiting in Ostara and Beltane during that turn of the year, what does it mean to me? How am I living? How am I living in relation to? So, back to Rob's question, which is any spiritual or magical goals or expectation in your path for this year? I would have to answer that for me, the goals or the expectations are the complete stop at Samhain. Honoring the other 7 holidays as a time to take stock, to see where I am, to feel if I feel like I am naturally in the flow of my life, if I have drifted, if I want to refocus, stopping 7 more times during the year. And that it is living the spirit of the element in its turning of the 4 quarters of the wheel of the year. It's an interesting thing for me to try and put into words, because I used to be so goal-centered and so driven in the sense of laser focus on this is what I'm going to do by this period of time. I do that when I need to, when something needs to be accomplished, when something has to be manifested within a certain period of time. I am fully capable of doing that. But when I think in terms of magical goals, spiritual expectations, in the sense of a year, it is more about keeping myself in tune with the natural flow that I have set in motion. When I say I'm dealing with flow of energy here, it's not like I'm floating along on something that's just, I'm joining it and off I go. I created it. I refocus the flow, I refocus the direction, and I stay with it. And goal and expectation from me spiritually is to be in that flow and to be experiencing it at the deepest level I am capable of experiencing it. That would be my take on goals, spiritual goals, for me in my path for any given year. In the end, it comes down to me to following the cycle of the year, having my times of repose and reflection, of inspiration, of action to inspiration, of commitment to making it come to something, celebrating that it has come to its fulfillment, and then retiring once again to the time of quiet and consideration. There's my takes on goals. As always here, we really look forward to the comments that you leave for us, and we thank you, Rob, for having provided us with an interesting question. I wish you all mirth and reverence. Merry part.